11Alive News starts now.
10 a.m. on this February 2nd. Nice to be with you here as we start a brand new week, start of a new month here from our new 11Alive streaming center, where we are bringing you the day's biggest headlines, live shots from across the nation, and here at home. We're watching the Tara Baker murder trial. More on that in a minute. But first, let's talk about the weather. Chester McNeil joining us on a chilly, chilly morning.
Chilly morning. Yeah, happy Groundhog Day.
That's right.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And let's see, this old Groundhog, both correct. Now, we look at Beauregard Lee here in Georgia, and, they debuted another Groundhog this year up in North Georgia at a wildlife sanctuary. And I didn't get his report yet. But typically, we look to Beauregard Lee and then Punxsutawney Phil, both saying the same thing. They both saw their shadow, which means 6 more weeks of winter. So a longer forecast here in Georgia, longer winter forecast here in Georgia. There you have it, folks. From your friendly neighborhood groundhog. We had patchy black ice. Now, they've just removed that. They had our northeastern counties, so that's gone. Our 11Alive weather impact is gone. Things are looking up, Dan. It's looking up.
Good.
Except for those clouds overhead. No precipitation coming out of those clouds at all, and they'll be in and out of the area. We'll have mostly sunny skies for much of the day today. It's going to be a nice one out there, and nothing much happening here in the southeast. We've got high pressure down to the south and west of us. We'll have a westerly wind coming in this afternoon, probably about 10 miles per hour or less for today, maybe gusty a little bit at times, but it's still going to be a decent day all in all, and those temperatures will be slightly warmer. Looking at 48 degrees for the afternoon high. Forecast track model shows, again, those westerly winds this afternoon. We're going to see the clouds increase after about 4 or 5 o'clock, and then tomorrow morning you'll see those clouds in place. We'll wake up with the clouds. Mix of sun and clouds through the day on Tuesday, but then here comes this rain, right? It moves right on in here. You can see after about 7 or 8 o'clock, that rain moves in. We'll have a few moderate pockets around the forecast area, but that gets out of the way as well. It'll linger into Wednesday morning, but only isolated showers will be around by the afternoon. It's all gone. We start to see the sunshine break out once again, and we'll watch those temperatures begin to heat up. Now, you're looking at 48 degrees for the high today, 57 for tomorrow. We'll be at 53 degrees on Wednesday, 46 on Thursday. That's behind the front, and then we mild right back up again as we head into Friday and into the upcoming weekend, so not too bad. Yesterday was a full moon. Now, not a super moon, right? We had 4 consecutive super moons. So this one was the first that was not a super moon. This one known as the snow moon.
Oh, perfect.
Right? Because of all the snow that typically is around this time of year. And so it fit the bill. So I did want to give you that little bit of information.
Yeah.
And so there you have it.
Well, too bad nobody went outside to enjoy it.
Yeah, it was so cold.
That.
Yeah, so cold. Our next super moon won't come until November. I think we get 2 in a row this year. We had one last month.
Okay.
So in January was super moon, and then we'll get 2 more in November, December. But those are typically bigger in the sky. They appear to be these big, huge super moons.
Yeah.
They're neat to see, but we're done with that for a little while.
It's always a surprise to me. I can't say I follow the lunar calendar very closely, but when I look up and see a supermoon,
oh yeah,
special.
it's like whoa, that thing looks. Are we getting closer to the moon? You know what I mean?
Right,
I get a little scared. So yeah. So there you have it, man. Just a little tidbit for you.
I like it, Chesley.
Right.
Thanks. Have a good day, man.
All right.
All right. Like we were saying earlier, we are still following a lot of news this morning. Reams, do you mind touching real quick on what we're watching with the Tara Baker murder trial? We brought you a live picture earlier, about an hour ago, of some motions hearings that are going on, and this is before the jury is brought in.
Yeah. So there's a motions hearing underway. We can't show you a shot because the judges asked the media to take their shot down for a few minutes here. The reason why is they're listening in. There's an email that got sent about a juror potentially not being able to be around to the extent of the trial. The judge believes this will take about 2 weeks. There's questions about the trial being able to stretch up to 4 to 6 weeks long. So a lot of questions around there. That's where they're trying to sort out right now. Of how long this trial actually needs to be going on for. How long can this juror actually be there for?
Yeah.
So somewhere between where the judge thinks of 2 weeks and where people are saying upwards of 6 weeks, somewhere in there is where this juror won't be able to go. And so there's some questions over whether or not the judge will actually be able to, or this juror will be able to sit for the whole trial. So the judges asked us to take that shot down for a few minutes while that juror is in the room, because we'd be hearing and seeing them, and that's against the rules. So as soon as that shot comes back up, it'll be in the bottom right corner. We're also streaming it on the, if you click down on the 11Alive app, you'll be able to see that in the corner as well.
I mean, 2 weeks in and of itself is already long enough for a murder trial.
Yeah.
Will be interesting to see whether the judge decides this is a legitimate hardship for that juror to miss, or whether the trial gets underway as we were expecting this morning with the jury that was supposedly seated on Friday night. Those opening statements were set to begin at 9 this morning. We're now keeping an eye on that courtroom, and as soon as those opening statements begin, we'll bring them to you. But now let's go to that tragic story out of Gwinnett County from over the weekend. 2 Gwinnett County police officers were shot at a hotel. They were there for a call regarding fraudulent use of a credit card, and it ended in a shootout, and one of them dead. Let's get more from 11Alive's Molly Oak outside a heartbroken police department this morning with the latest. Molly.
Yeah, and that memorial outside the police department continues to grow. 2 more bouquets of flowers just in the last 30 minutes, one of them with a note saying, "Rest easy, my friend." The Georgia Bureau of Investigation says the suspect in this case is facing 4 different charges. The GBI is taking the lead on the investigation, says it happened just before 8 a.m. yesterday when 2 officers, Officer Pradeep Tamang and Master Police Officer David Reed, responded to a Holiday Inn off East Park Place Boulevard to investigate a reported credit card theft. The GBI says when officers went in the room and tried to arrest Andrews after they learned he had an active warrant for failure to appear, Andrews pulled out a gun, shooting both officers and killing Officer Tamang. Now, the GBI says Andrews is facing multiple charges, including malice murder, felony murder, aggravated assault, and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. The chief and others are asking for prayers for the department and the families of the officers. Officer Reed, who was also shot, is still in critical condition this morning.
And we've always enjoyed great support of our citizens here in Gwinnett, and we need you at this time. But as I said, we will not be deterred. These officers are heroes. They go out onto the road every day and face uncertainty.
They run into danger so that we can be safe. And we're grateful for their continued dedication. And we stand together with our officers, their families, and all of you as we navigate this moment as a community.
You know, Dan, I was talking with one of the women who just dropped off a bouquet of flowers on the car. Her husband is actually a police officer with Gwinnett County Police. She said this one hits far too close to home, asking everyone to just give their loved ones an extra hug this morning. Dan.
Look, it is a tight-knit community there in Gwinnett, a tight-knit department. This is just the 6th line of duty death involving a police officer with Gwinnett County PD. The last one prior to this was in 2018. An officer was shot and killed then. Before that, it was 1993 when a Gwinnett County police officer was hit and killed by a drunk driver. And then before that, you have to go all the way back to 1964 when 3 officers were shot and killed in a single incident. So that's 6 officers shot or killed, rather, in the line of duty in Gwinnett County. The latest one coming just yesterday, and another officer still fighting for his life in critical condition but stable at the hospital after that shootout. All right, other big news story of the week last week was out of Fulton County, and there's an update for you this morning regarding that FBI raid at the elections office, taking hundreds of boxes, filling up truckloads, and taking them to the FBI's headquarters in Quantico, Virginia. Well, this morning, Fulton County has announced plans to file a federal lawsuit challenging the legality of that warrant and that seizure. This is some video of that seizure as it was going down last week. You see those trucks leaving with those boxes full of physical ballots. We're talking absentee, provisional, election day emergency, damaged, destroyed, duplicated, you name it. Well, this morning, Commissioner Marvin Arrington Jr. here in Fulton County announced that lawsuit and called the search warrant not proper. County leaders say they want forensic accounting and documents to remain here in Georgia under seal. And they want the protection of voter information. Mr. Arrington Jr. broke the news here on 11Alive Plus this morning. Here's a clip.
Here's what happens. We'll be filing today a 41G motion, basically asking the court for a forensic copy of any and all records that were taken, asking that the records be returned to the state of Georgia. And so, we have to do something to protect our citizens, to protect the voter information and the voter rolls. A judge was going to had already indicated that he would allow them to get a copy of these records but they would have had to pay approximately $450,000 to obtain the records. So in lieu of waiting for that order from the judge, they basically did an end around and by filing this criminal action. And it's just very concerning because the statutes that are listed in the search warrant are misdemeanor statutes whose statute of limitations has expired. And so just don't think that the judge is going to be happy that they did an end around on his order in order to obtain these records and basically, just steal the voting records, right? They stole our original ballots, stole the original absentee ballots and the original provisional ballots, and they broke the chain of custody, which is very important. And because now we will not be able to know if they lost ballots, added ballots, or anything because they took all of our original records.
This is one of those debates that's kind of split down party lines. A lot of Georgia Republicans, particularly those running for higher office in the next few months, have come out in support of that search and seizure. However, Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger has just issued a statement. I mean, I'm talking seconds ago, and I'm reading with you live here. He says that voters deserve better than a rerun of the same election arguments every election cycle. And the Secretary of State is now calling on elected officials to help move the debate forward. Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger now renewing his call on Congress to act on meaningful federal election reform, he says, by adopting the proven common sense practices already in place in Georgia. Now, scrolling through this statement, it doesn't appear that he addresses this FBI raid head on, though this is, I believe, the first time we have heard from the Secretary of State after the FBI raid. We've been asking him for a comment, and we get the statement this morning. He said, with Georgia's election results confirmed repeatedly through audits, recounts, and court review, he is urging lawmakers to focus now on passing laws that strengthen security, transparency, and public confidence nationwide instead of falling prey to recycled accusations. So you can make the argument in a way he is addressing the raid without mentioning it head on. That statement coming in from Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger just moments ago. You're watching 11Alive Plus, and we are back with more news headlines in just a couple minutes. Hey, have you heard about The Stitch? It's a planned park center development that will physically connect Midtown and downtown Atlanta. And excited this morning to be talking with Jack Seeby, the new CEO and president of Stitch, Inc., the organization overseeing the project. Hey, Jack, good morning to you, man.
Hey, good morning.
Hey, so catch us up on the Stitch, what it's all about, and your organization.
Yeah, well, the Stitch is a exciting initiative here in the heart of downtown Atlanta. We've been working with a lot of partners downtown the city, Atlanta Downtown Improvement District, Central Atlanta Progress, for many years on this initiative to cap and cover the downtown connector, a portion of it, and turn it into new park space that will be the center of a lot of new housing, a lot of new retail and development in North Downtown near Emory Midtown Hospital. So effectively creating a new neighborhood within the heart of downtown Atlanta.
When you say cap and cover the connector, what exactly do you mean by that?
Yeah, so if you think about, if you're familiar with the downtown connector in Atlanta, a good bit of it travels underneath the city streets like Peachtree Street, Cortlandt Street. And so what we were doing is effectively installing new bridges in between those existing bridges that pass over the downtown connector today. And on top of this new bridge, or these new bridges, will be new park space, about 17 acres of it. And so, in the future, you won't even realize that the downtown connector is there running underneath your feet when you're in this park space. It will just feel like there's this great park always there. The downtown connector will remain the same layout, but will be effectively in a tunnel once the Stitch is completed.
And when will the Stitch be completed? When will ground be broken? And how long could this take?
Yeah, right now our target is to start construction in 2027. And the first phase, we plan on completing around 2030, 2031 at this point. There are 3 total phases, all in combined around 17 acres of park space, a park around the size of Fourth Ward Park off the Beltline, if you've been to that park. Those 3 phases we anticipate would take around 10 years to complete, assuming all the money and the needed elements of the project happen when we have them planned.
Well, it sounds like you have the money secured for phase 1, right? It's just kind of 2 and 3 that's up in the air at this point.
We have partial funding for phase 1 this year. We were working with the city, with the mayor's office, and with other partners to fill that remaining gap for phase 1. And we're confident that we'll begin construction in 2027 at this point.
What kind of economic value could this project pump back into the city, into the state once it's completed? And what about jobs created?
Yeah, it's huge. That's the the tagline there. It's a Beltline size economic impact. The entire 22-mile Beltline Trail concentrated in downtown Atlanta. And so that equates to about $9 billion of economic impact. We expect the Stitch will generate upwards of 5,000 jobs. It will generate around 25,000 multifamily homes. We all know that housing and housing affordability is a big challenge and a big priority of Mayor Dickens' administration right now. So this is a big part of that solution. So it will do a whole lot for our city and our metro in terms of economic value and value to citizens and the neighborhood.
All right. Well, this is the first I've heard about the potential for all these homes coming up here. Where would you find the space for that? And do you have developers lining up saying pick me, pick me?
Well, it's a true public-private partnership. So we are building the park and removing the noisy, loud, hot environment of the interstate by putting in a tunnel, replacing it with a park. And around the Stitch today, there's about 50 acres of developable land, parking lots, vacant buildings, etc. And so it's a huge opportunity right in the middle of our city, next to MARTA, next to jobs, to inject a whole lot of new housing in our city. And it's currently not happening today because it's not an especially great place to want to live. So we're trying to change that with this project.
Where can folks go for more information, and when do you think, I guess, what is going to be the first visible sign for people who drive through this area downtown that, okay, this is no longer just a gap in highway, this is an actual project underway?
Yeah, so the stitchatl.com is the project website. We post, there's all the information you would ever want about the project on the website. We have some social media channels as well, but the website's a great spot to start. And there's also a newsletter on our website that you can subscribe to. We post regular updates. There you go, right there. And right now, so last year, if you heard some of the news around Downtown Day, we've started activating that area. We threw up some signs, some renderings of the park, cleaned up that little triangle of park space there at Peachtree Street and Ivan Allen with help of the community. We had a bunch of community members come out and help pitch in, plant some new plants. And so stuff has already happened, but this year with the start of this new organization, Stitch Inc., and installation of our new board, and that new resources that brings, we're going to be doing programming throughout the year that we think that folks will hear about, get excited about, be able to come down and participate in. So we're really kicking things off in full swing this year.
We're looking at the website right now. Mending a Torn Urban Fabric, really an opportunity to stitch the city together. We're going to be keeping an eye on things, Jack, and we'd love to have you back with a progress update. Thank you for your time this morning.
Anytime. Thank you.
Sounds good. All right, have a good one. Before we go to break, let's take a quick check of Wall Street and see how stocks are opening up on the start of a brand new month for trading. And it's looking pretty good. The Dow up 340 points. We're still on Dow 50,000 watch. Hasn't happened yet. It's been flirting with it for a few weeks now, but after a couple down weeks, we're starting February on a high note. This after a bit of a sell-off with Bitcoin and gold and silver and some other metals last week. But this morning, when it comes to cold hard cash, things looking okay. We're back in just a couple minutes. All right, we are still waiting to bring you live updates from the Tara Baker murder trial over in Athens. She was the young UGA student brutally murdered back in 2001. It took more than 20 years to make an arrest in this case. They finally have, and the man charged with the murder set to stand trial today. Opening statements were set to begin an hour and a half ago, but instead there were some back and forth pre-trial motions going on before the judge. The jury has yet to be brought into the room. Apparently one juror is saying to the judge that they may not be able to sit for the whole 2 weeks that this trial could potentially take. So that's an issue. What will the judge decide? Will there be an alternate juror put in their place? Will opening statements begin before lunch, after, today, tomorrow? We're going to be keeping an eye on things out of Athens, but right now the camera is off in the courtroom, which means there is nothing to bring you there. But we can talk about Capitol Hill and some of the action going on there this week because there is a partial government shutdown. Now it's up to the House to pass a funding bill to get it reopened. But with tension still high from the events in Minneapolis, Democrats say how long that takes depends on reforms to immigration enforcement. Let's get more from NBC's Alice Barr.
Here on Capitol Hill, hopes are high that the partial government shutdown will end before anyone feels the real impact. The work begins with a House committee vote set for this afternoon, and the House Speaker believes the government will reopen as soon as tomorrow. House members returned to an icy Washington today looking to unfreeze funding for large chunks of the government, now in a partial shutdown. House Speaker Mike Johnson predicting passage by tomorrow of a Senate-passed package that fully funds most of the government while splitting off the Department of Homeland Security.
I'm confident that we'll do it at least by Tuesday.
Congress then has 2 weeks to negotiate the immigration enforcement reforms Democrats are demanding, including ending roving ICE patrols and body cameras on all federal immigration officers. Speaker Johnson citing President Trump's border czar.
I think even Tom Homan has acknowledged both of those things are acceptable and what he was intending to do already. So I think we're on the path to get agreement.
The top Democrat in the House underscoring that path must lead to dramatic reform.
The administration can't just talk the talk. They need to walk the walk.
Some leading Democrats urging a no vote on even the short-term package, pressing to repeal a huge spike in funding ICE secured under last year's so-called Big Beautiful Bill.
I just don't see how in good conscience Democrats can vote for continuing ICE funding when they're killing American citizens.
That amid weekend vigils in Minneapolis for 2 people killed by federal immigration officers, Renee Good.
It's been very, very difficult.
And ICU nurse Alex Preddy.
He lived to help others, and that's what he did. And we were so fortunate to know him and have him as a friend.
Reminders of what's at stake as lawmakers look for agreement to reopen the government with key reforms. If the two parties can't agree on immigration enforcement reforms over the next 2 weeks, funding could be at risk for FEMA, for TSA, and the Coast Guard, all under the Department of Homeland Security. In Washington, I'm Alice Barr. Back to you.
Now to Minnesota, where Liam Ramos, a 5-year-old, and his father now back in Minnesota after being released from a detention center. You know, they made national headlines after being taken into federal custody back on January 20th by immigration agents. It sparked national outrage. Let's get more from NBC's Maggie Vespa reporting in Minneapolis.
Hey there. The homecoming of 5-year-old Liam Ramos bringing a rare sigh of relief to this city. We have new photos and videos over the weekend showing Liam and his dad leaving the South Texas detention facility where they were being held. They traveled home Sunday morning. The family obviously relieved, but asking for privacy at this time. It came almost 2 weeks after the pair were detained in their snowy Minnesota driveway, with those images of Liam in his blue hat instantly going viral, sparking global outrage. Their release ordered on Saturday by a federal judge who in his ruling blasted the Trump administration's overall tactics as, quote, an ill-conceived and incompetently implemented government pursuit of daily deportation quotas, apparently even if it requires traumatizing children. Now, Liam and his father were escorted out by Texas Congressman Joaquin Castro, who hours later, his chief of staff said in court filings that ICE warned them of a growing measles outbreak at that South Texas detention facility where Liam was being held. DHS confirming they have at least 2 infections, that they've, in their words, ceased all movement within the facility, quarantining those who are sick and those who may have come into contact with the infected. Now, remember, Castro said last week that Liam, it seemed, had fallen ill inside the facility. We're out to his family about this latest headline. It is worth noting DHS said that a physician had examined the 5-year-old while he was in that detention center and found, quote, no medical concerns. Back to you.
Maggie Vespa with NBC News reporting from Minneapolis. We're going to take a short break. We're going to be back in just a couple more minutes. Another check of the forecast and the latest when it comes to measles spreading in the United States. See you in a few. Hey, we are just hearing from Pete Hegseth right now, having a news conference, it appears. Let's listen in and see what it's about.
You're hell-bent, dead set on ensuring there's American dominance in that domain. Dominance, not just on par, but dominance. And we're working with NASA, with SpaceX, with Blue Origin, the best of the best, to unleash that. That's what the Arsenal of Freedom Tour is about. Find out what these folks need in order to go faster and be better at what they do. NASA's going to be a key component of that, so we're taking companies we've seen on this tour. So thanks for coming. Appreciate it. Thank you.
U.S. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth addressing reporters there, talking about some partnership with NASA and perhaps some U.S. bombers, though what exactly that is, unclear at this moment. Reams?
Yeah, so this is a part of the, as I'm learning right now, the Arsenal of Freedom Tour. It's a month-long campaign to promote one of the Department of Defense, same thing, top priorities of rebuilding the military by engaging with personnel at various stops. He's at Cape Canaveral today. He's been looking around. He looked at the Artemis 2 rocket that could launch as soon as next week. Also looking at some of the Air Force planes and stuff stationed there. Still working to learn exactly what is going on there. Was hoping we'd have a better shot there and he would talk for longer, but
There's been a lot of talk over just how prepared the U.S. would be if it was forced into a full-fledged war, especially when it comes to the fleet of U.S. Navy ships, how that compares to China's fleet, how quickly we are building ships versus how quickly other countries are. So, always interesting to hear from the U.S. Secretary of War, U.S. Secretary of Defense when it comes to United States efforts to be war ready. All right. Should we talk about the weather, Reams?
Let's talk about the weather.
It was just such a cold weekend. Reams was scheduled to run 9 miles on Sunday morning with many of you brave Atlantans as well, but they ended up making the right call and canceling that race.
Yeah, they Tuesday afternoon switched that hot chocolate 5K, 15K to full virtual. So,
did you still enjoy some hot chocolate Sunday?
No, but we did find some hot chocolate. So,
Okay.
hoping to run that next week, and then we will maybe indulge in that then.
And you'll still get the medal and everything.
Yeah, everything's gets in. They automatically ship things to you,
Nice.
that kind of stuff. So,
All right, well,
we'll take it.
Report back when you get those 9 miles in, maybe next weekend.
Maybe next
But anyway, I mean, it was because of the cold over the weekend that they had to cancel that race, or rather make it fully virtual. And a lot of you, I'm sure, encountered other issues over the weekend, maybe whether it was going to church or even taking the kiddos to school this morning. It was another chilly morning, but it's not just here in Atlanta. It is a nationwide issue. Could be a lot worse. Think about those folks up in Nashville, many of them still without power. Power outage is a huge issue across the country. Same with some airport chaos, and not to mention all the wrecks on the roads. Let's get more from NBC.
Another blast of bitter cold sweeping the nation. Over the weekend, a monster bomb cyclone snowstorm dumping nearly 2 feet of snow in the Carolinas. Oceanfront homes collapsing into the sea, and the near whiteout conditions making for treacherous driving.
This is no joke.
The National Guard called in to help clear the roads after a minor collision snowballed into a major 100-car pileup on a highway in North Carolina. And this is the stunning moment a train slammed into a semi-truck stuck on the tracks. Thankfully, the driver was able to escape in time. The monster storm, a 1-2 punch for many residents, still cleaning up from another major winter wallop just 1 week ago. The death toll rising to almost 120 people nationwide. Now, more than 60 million Americans facing cold weather alerts and potential record lows in 7 states across the typically warm South.
I don't know how to act in this weather.
A rare sight in the Sunshine State, snow flurries and a cold front. The lingering freeze comes as over 100,000 Americans remain without heat or power, some for over a week. Airports also working to get back on track. Plows clearing snow from tarmacs after thousands of more flights were canceled or delayed over the weekend.
I thought I was being smart and chose an earlier flight.
But in the Northeast, freezing winds up to 60 miles an hour didn't stop these skaters from playing hockey on the beach along the Jersey Shore.
Let's get an update on the measles outbreak that we are seeing across the country. It is particularly centered around South Carolina. Reams has pulled up this map. It is from Atlanta-based CDC, and you see that there for 2026, 467 cases of measles to the state to our east, South Carolina, dealing with that huge outbreak. Far worse there than any other state. Reams, can we check out Utah? See, they're kind of dark shaded as well. 53 cases in Utah. Just to the south there, Arizona, they're looking at 10. I know what you want to know. What are we looking like here in Georgia? Still just 1 case. It's been 1 case for weeks now. In North Carolina, just to the north of south, they're looking at 10 cases as well.
And the CDC gets numbers and they update it weekly, so there's some cases that we do know about that are not currently on this list in Texas. So we heard a few minutes ago from NBC's Maggie Vespa, 2 detainees at an immigration facility have been diagnosed with measles there. That's not currently marked here on the map. As you look at the Texas, it says 0. That prompted a lockdown as health officials work to contain that virus. We're also learning about a measles case in California tied to Disneyland, potential exposure at Disneyland there. That's a 2nd case this year. An international traveler who arrived at LAX before visiting Disneyland last week. Still working to learn more about that. Still working to learn more if Georgia's number 1 case count is correct, if it's actually higher. As soon as we get more, we will bring that along to you.
Reams, you mind checking out Health Beat
Yeah, let's see what our friends at HealthBeat got.
You know, we were talking with one of their reporters at healthbeat.org last week. They've been looking into this issue extensively. In fact, this reporter used to be based in Atlanta, covering a lot of stories with the CDC. Now in South Carolina, really looking into the outbreak that they've seen. And it looks like they, in fact, have a new article up, but this is the article that we were referencing last week when it comes to the measles. It's about how the South Carolina measles outbreak grew from 5 to 847 cases. And there's a big timeline they have in there. It looks like they updated that article on the day that we actually interviewed her on January 30th. And then, we talked to her at like 10 in the morning. Then she said, we're actually going to get the updated numbers at 1 today. And you see there that article was updated at 1:30. So go check it out if you're interested in learning a little more. Again, health officials say the best thing you can do to protect you and your loved ones is to be vaccinated against the measles. This reporter we talked to also said that, folks in Metro Atlanta should keep an eye on this outbreak to South Carolina. We are connected just by one interstate system. It is a very transient area. Folks pass through Atlanta all the time, and this is a virus that can linger in the air for hours even after the infected person passes through, according to health officials. All right, I think it's a good time for a break. Good to be with you at 10:41 on this Monday morning. We're following more news coming your way. See you in just a couple minutes. Heartbreaking story over the weekend out of Gwinnett County. 2 officers shot. They were responding to a suspected case of fraudulent use of a credit card at a hotel in Stone Mountain. When they arrived, the suspect let them inside the room, and at some point inside that room, the suspect produced a gun, opened fire on the officers, shooting and killing Pradeep Tamang there on the left, and also shooting and injuring David Reed, the one you saw there briefly on the right. The suspect was also hurt in an exchange of gunfire. One of the officers was able to return fire. The suspect has since been released. He had non-life-threatening injuries there in the hospital, and he's now been charged with malice murder in addition to other charges. And he will one day face a judge and a jury for the killing of Pradeep Tamang. And Tamang has been with the force since May of last year, only been on there for a very brief amount of time. You see him here on the Officer Down Memorial page. You can go on this website and explore officers nationwide who have lost their lives in the line of duty. This page honors Officer Tamang. It gives a rundown of what exactly happened. It shows here he was just 25 years old. He had been on the force for 8 months. You can leave your reflections there, as Lieutenant Joseph Ward from New Jersey did, saying, R.I.P. brother. And then you click on Gwinnett County and see just how few and far between incidents like this are, thankfully, in their county. Officer Tamang becomes the first officer killed in the line of duty since 2018 when Officer Antoine Toney was shot and killed. Prior to that, you have to go back to 1993 when this man, Officer McGill, was hit by a drunk driver. And then prior to that, it was 3 officers who were shot and killed in the same incident, these 3 men, back in April of 1964. And then you also have a couple of other police canines who were lost in actually back-to-back years. Canine Eli, lost in 2019, suffered from heat stroke while chasing a suspect. And Officer Blue, canine, shot and killed while tracking a suspect who had fled in a stolen car. So important to remember, it's not just the human officers, it's those canines as well who could be lost in the line of duty. They face all kinds of harm and put themselves in harm's way on any given day. And now Gwinnett County going to be burying one of their own, if not this week, then next. All right, now we get back to Fulton County, and I don't know if you saw it over the weekend. It happened while we were dealing with the snow, with the extreme cold, but they're not calling it a pipe burst at the jail, but, well, tens of thousands of water was leaking from some of the pipes. So call it what you will. It was a mess, that's for sure. And now it has people calling for change at Fulton County Jail once again. Let's get more from 11Alive's Doug Richards.
Video shot by Fulton County Jail staff shows water pouring out of a staff bathroom into a hallway and beyond. 70,000 gallons of it, give or take, after officials say a pressure cap blew off a pipe during what was supposed to be a repair.
There's leaks all around this building all the time. Toilet sinks and everything. So this was a toilet.
A spokeswoman for the sheriff says this was the 3rd major water incident at the Rice Street Jail in the last 6 months. Fulton Commissioner Mo Ivory was on hand to express outrage over the county's upkeep of its jail.
This is not the first leak. When you have water leaking, 1 month, the next week after that, then that is a problem with the infrastructure, and it has to be addressed.
Ivory, who is running for commission chair, wants to consider building a new jail. But the man she wants to unseat says the county has a more cost-effective plan.
We have a plan to renovate the existing jail, build a medical facility next to it, and rather than spending $2 or $3 billion building a country club prison jail.
Doug Richards, 11Alive News.
Hey, good to be with you at 10:48, approaching 10:48 on this Monday morning. Still keeping an eye on the Tara Baker murder trial. Many of you may be tuning in wondering about that. Opening statements were set to begin at 9 o'clock this morning, but right now nothing's going on there. They had some pretrial motions. Apparently, the thought of finding out this trial could last up to 2 weeks, if not longer. At least one juror has raised some issues with that. So it's our understanding right now the judge is talking through options with the defense, with the prosecution, with the jury. And should those opening statements begin this morning or this afternoon, we'll stream it live on 11Alive Plus. You could just scroll down and go to the left or go to the right on your screen, and you can start watching it there once we are able to take that live for you once again. But so far has not yet begun. Tara Baker, the young woman who was killed in her Athens, Georgia home, a first-year law student back in 2001. Now, decades later, the man accused in the murder finally ready to stay in trial. We're back in just a couple minutes. You are watching 11Alive Plus. Well, with the opening ceremony just days away, the Winter Olympics in Milan Cortina about to begin. Let's get more from NBC's Jay Gray in Milan.
The host is Milano Cortina.
The celebration in northern Italy now stretching to excitement around the world as the 2026 Winter Games are set to begin.
The Milano Cortina 2026 Olympic Winter Games will bring together the best winter sport athletes in Bella Italia, a country that lives and breathes passion.
This is not the first time there have been dual host cities, but in what will be the most geographically widespread games, it is the first time there will be two Olympic cauldrons. One in Milan, home to the major indoor events, including figure skating, hockey, and speed skating. The second in Cortina, where along with a cluster of smaller cities in the Dolomite Mountains, the competitions will include alpine skiing, luge, curling, and more. In all, these Winter Games will feature 16 disciplines with more than 3,500 athletes from 93 countries competing for 195 medals.
They have been dreaming, training, eating, sleeping towards this very important day, or important time.
A time now fast approaching.
And the host cities say they are ready, mixing innovation with Italy's unique style and rich history to host the world's biggest winter party. Jay Gray, NBC News, Milan.
And you know, security preparations in Milan are ramping up, just days to go now before the Olympics begin. All right, here's what we know. The Italian State Police preparing for the Winter Games, placing dog units and bomb disposal teams at the forefront of efforts to secure Olympic areas. The canine units are trained through a specialized program that pairs each dog with a handler. Police say teams are cleared for duty only when the pair reach full operational sync. The units operate in 4 areas: public order support and surveillance, narcotics detection, explosives detection, and search and rescue work both in open ground and under debris, should God forbid they need it. Working alongside them are bomb disposal officers who carry out preventative inspections and clearance procedures at major events, including the 2026 Games. You're looking at video of those canines at work. Police say the joint work of canine teams and bomb techs form a key pillar of the security season there at Milan Cortina, aimed at protecting athletes, all the delegations, all the spectators there as well. We are looking forward to the start of those games. Again, opening ceremonies coming up this Friday. You can catch it right here on 11Alive and NBC. Our Cheryl Preheim is over there in Italy, bringing us some local flair when it comes to the games and some of the big storylines to watch for. It is 10:54, and we're back after a short break. Look, millions of Americans are stuck in this deep freeze this winter, and some of us are ready to get out of it. But a certain groundhog in Pennsylvania says, not anytime soon. Here's Karen Kafa.
It wasn't the forecast that many here were hoping for, but maybe the one that they expected as folks started to gather here at Gobbler's Knob at 3 a.m. Monday morning. The temperatures were in the single digits, hovering close to zero with a wind chill below zero. Punxsutawney Phil says 6 more weeks of winter, despite many people hoping for that early spring.
It is my job this February 2 to look to the skies and report back to you that there is a shadow here on my ground. 6 more weeks of winter abound.
When I spoke with Marcy Galando, the executive director of Punxsutawney's Groundhog Club, over the weekend, she said last year they set a record here at Gobbler's Knob. She didn't expect that to happen this year just because of the cold temperatures, but still a pretty hardy crowd that came out in the early hours and looked like they had a pretty good time. In Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, I'm Karen Kafa.
And Mr. Beauregard here in Georgia says 6 more weeks of winter too. And Reams, you were saying you got to trust Beau because he does pretty well historically.
Allegedly. 80% success rate. You couldn't catch me dead out there watching that this morning. Any morning. February 2nd, it's going to be cold no matter what.
Not at 3 a.m.
Not at 3 a.m.
And meanwhile, Punxsutawney has more of a questionable rate.
Well, they keep on dropping him.
What do you mean?
There's been years where they've dropped him. And
they dropped the groundhog?
On accident. And then sometimes the groundhog doesn't make it to the next Groundhog Day.
Oh, God, that's terrible.
It's terrible. So I don't really know which one to trust and who to trust at that point. Maybe Chesley at 11.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for that tee-up. I was wondering how we're going to get out of there. Chesley's coming up with your forecast in just a couple minutes away, about 90 seconds away. Keep it right here on 11Alive Plus to hear from Chesley. Does he see 6 more weeks of winter? He might see a little bit of a warm-up coming at the end of the week. You're going to be interested in hearing that as we take a live look from Blue Ridge. Still snow on the ground there. More headlines coming your way. It's been great to be with you from the streaming center for the last couple hours. We'll do it again tomorrow. In the meantime, stay tuned for 11Alive Midday.